guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel where we learn everything ethical hacking. If you're just joining me, do well to hit the subscribe button, and of course don't forget to like, share and comment on my videos. And lastly, do turn on the notification bell so that you don't get to miss any of my updates. Alright, so we've been on an interesting series that says the pen test methodology, and we started with the recon phase, which is of course the information gathering. And today we'll be looking at the vulnerability analysis. So what's vulnerability analysis? What's it all about? So it's about using the data you got from your information gathering, which could be your passive or your active record, to identify, analyze and rank these vulnerabilities based on their severities. So you will be seeing how we can perform a vulnerability analysis. Mind you, the process by which we do or carry out pen tests, it's not complete without vulnerability analysis, because it helps you streamline this information to know which one is vulnerable, and if it's vulnerable, what is it vulnerable to. All right, so sit back, relax, sit tight as I jump right into it. So I'll still make use of our Metasploitable tool. You can see our Metasploitable tool is running, and just come to my browser. Of course, I told you the IP address, how to a quick way to check your IP address. We can do an app scan here to quickly see our IP address, just in case my screen is not bold enough. All right, so with this command sudo space app -scan -l switch, this in split seconds bring you IP address all running on your local network. So just quickly type in my password. That works. So you can see it's up, and as usual I told you to always forget the .1, forget the .2, and make emphasis to any other one after. Right, so this is our target machine for our Metasploitable. This is the target we would be exploiting. So don't forget, Metasploitable is already running or at the background. So you can see the IP address. I already loaded it here. I'll just refresh that, so you can see this is the IP address 192.168.23.129. this is for my own now. Let me increase my screen here a bit. All right, so again, the informations we got using Shodan, where's my plugin? What happened to my plugin? The information we got using Wapalizer. All right, let me see. I don't think Wapalizer is installed. I don't know how it got out. So the information we got using Wapalizer and our nmap scan is what we will be looking out for, to see if those informations can lead us anywhere. So I'm trying to install a plugin Wapalizer. I've taught you about this particular tools during the information gathering phase. So Firefox and get extension. I'm using Firefox. I'm not sure why. Okay, I can't really tell why it's acting up. It's saying I need to download Firefox and get the extension. Do we have the time for this now? I think my Firefox the version is outdated now. All right, but not to worry. Let's come back to our terminal so I don't waste time. Let's come back to terminal. All right, so on my terminal now, just quickly clear my screen and we'll perform a quick nmap scan. Nmap dash I'll just enter my switch now. Just enter my switch dash let's try for script, and let's see for version, script and version, and I'll paste the target. Okay, so this is just a normal nmap command without much syntax here. So this is just a switch saying scan for script, scan for version, right? Version scan. So I might add disable police discovery. Not really necessary at this case. All right, but I'll just hit enter and I will wait for the scan results to be up, which shouldn't take much time, even though I know because of the kind of results we want, it might take a little time to achieve, but nonetheless, let's give it some time. So while we wait for the results to come up, so these are the informations we need here, because for vulnerability analysis we need to take those informations we found during our information gathering
face to perform the vulnerability analysis. So to look up those informations, if they are vulnerable or not, and if they are vulnerable, to what extent can we exploit them, and what are their CVE rankings. And so that's all what vulnerability analysis is all about. So our scan result is up. I'll just quickly go up. Let's see. Alright, so for port 21 and FTP here, so we'll just go through port by port. So for port 21 running on FTP for file transfer protocol, you can see the version here. So the first thing I want to do is take this version, I'll copy this version and go to my browser to look at that version, what particular vulnerabilities attached to that version. So I'll just open a new tab here. Let's search the web, and I will just paste, I'll just do vulnerability. I'll type vulnerability because we are trying to see the vulnerability that is attached to this particular version. Just a minute. Google.com. Okay. All right. So my VPNs. Quickly turn off my VPN. All right, so I can just refresh this. Okay, that's fine. All right, so we'll just type vulnerability, and I will attach our findings. So we found this particular version running on the FTP port, right? So now we're looking up. You just type vulnerability space and that version, and I'll hit enter. So let's see everything that it has to say. So you can see this is the version VSFTPD version 2.3.4, vulnerable to backdoor command execution, as seen in Rapid 7. So Rapid 7 is a suite of solutions that offers lots of solutions, right? So but let's go into this website. Let's see. There are lots of sites, juicy sites you can use for vulnerability analysis. Example Rapid 7, Exploit DB, Pentest Monkey, and the likes. So I will take us through a few. So let's see our results. So VSTPD version 2.3.4 backdoor command execution. So let's read about it. So the description, let's see from the description. This module exploits a malicious backdoor that was added to the VSFTPD download archive. This backdoor was introduced into the VSTPD between June 30, 2011 and July 31st, 2011. According to the most recent information available, the backdoor was removed on July 3rd, 2011. So, but let's see. Sometimes informations like this, when you see the findings like this, it might be that it has not been remediated. Because if a particular version is vulnerable, the next thing the vendor will do is to patch that particular vulnerability and bring an updated version. But now you can see that our lab is still using that particular version, which is version 2.3.4, and you can see it's vulnerable to backdoor execution command. So let's see. You can see the payloads that you can use now. You can see this payload. It comes with a payload for exploit, because for every exploit, for every vulnerability that has a CVE, of course, it means that somebody somewhere has tested and validated that particular vulnerability, and they will replicate the step out there for you so that you can use while performing that particular exploitation. So you can see this module. Okay, this is a Metasploit module, MSF module. So they use Metasploit to execute MSF to execute this backdoor, right? So when we go into exploitation proper, you understand. But you can see this particular version is vulnerable to backdoor command execution. Alright, so remember, we're not talking about exploitation here, we're still looking at vulnerability analysis. So now this particular version is vulnerable, so we'll keep it pending. We'll come back to our terminal. Alright, again, I did make mention sometime, I think in our previous class, about FTTP anonymous login. When you see this on port 21, anonymous login allowed, it means you can log into this particular port without a valid credential. All you need to enter is just to type anonymous as the password and anonymous as the username. Okay, so with that being said, I'll progress further. Let's see other ports. Let's see port 22. What we can see on port 22. Port 22 is running, of course, secure shared SSH. Alright, so you can see I have open SSH here, version 4.7 Debian Ubuntu protocol. So you might want to look these particular versions up. You can to see if it's vulnerable to anything, but often now and then it's not usually too vulnerable. Alright, because for open SSH, since it's just a secure way of accessing a network, the protocol 2.0, you can see the protocol at the front here. Protocol 2.0 is usually not vulnerable, but any protocol from 1.1.9, 1.8, as the case may be, under the 1 point, a little vulnerable. I think I've exploited that some time ago. Okay, but nonetheless, since we are doing vulnerability analysis, I'll just take this version. I'll copy that version now, and I'll come back to my terminal. I'll come back to my browser. Same procedure, but nonetheless, let's go back to see what other site has to say. Let's see, like exploit DB. You can see it's still vulnerable to the same thing. Still talking about the previous information, which was for the FTP. Let's go in and see their informations there. So you can do more, you can exploit more, check other resource to see what they have to say about that particular vulnerability. So now you can see the CVE now attached here. For instance, this is from exploit DB. Alright, so I'm just trying to make my screen a little bolder. So this is from exploit DB. So you can see VS FTPD version 2.3.4 is vulnerable to a backdoor command execution. Right, so you can see the CVE attached. Once we click on this CVE, it will take us straight to the data sheet where this particular vulnerabilities is explained in details, right? But nonetheless, let's come down. Nonetheless, still on exploit DB, let's come down. So you can see the exploits. You can see the exploits here from Telnet, of course. Let's see, backdoor command execution. They're telling you how to exploit this particular vulnerabilities. Let's see. Alright, so this is another juicy information here. So this is a script that can be exploited. Don't worry, when we come to the exploitation phase, I will show you all how to carry out this exploitation. But nonetheless, let's check this CVE. Let's see the ranking, right? Let's see the severity ranking for this particular vulnerability. So it's opening the data, the NIST vulnerability database. Alright, so you can see this is the CVE number 2011-2523, and the detail here. Let's see the detail. So this vulnerability has been modified since it was last analyzed by the NVD. It is awaiting reanalysis, which may result in further changes to the information provided. Alright, so let's come down. So the description, you can see the description here. This particular version downloaded between 2011-0630, and this contains a backdoor which opens a shell on port 6200. So you can see with this now it can open a shell. By shell means you gain access into the system. So let's see the severity. Let's see if severity is given here. The severity of this particular vulnerability. Weakness enumeration. Of course, let's see. There is no severity stated here, but there should be. So let's see. Weakness enumerations. CWE 68. Let's see. Okay, let's go to Dimitri. Let's go to MITRE framework. So okay, so this is still explaining same vulnerability. I'm trying to see the severity. Let's see. Okay. If it's not stated, there are a lot of ways to check severities. So let me go up. Okay, there's not much information here. All right, so just quickly go back. Let me go back. So this is on MITRE now. So I'll show you something very quickly. Just follow me. Another way to check severities. Okay, now we have the CVE number, right? You can see we have a CVE for this, which is CVE 20. This is the CVE here. This is the CVE. I can copy this CVE and go to MITRE.org to see this particular vulnerability. Let me see on my right hand side the CV directory dictionary entry. Let's see if it can open up something. I think this is still okay. Let's see this. Let's see. This is cve.org now. It's checking that particular record for us. Let's see what it has. Okay, manage preference, all allowed. Okay, so alright, so while we wait for it to load, so this is cve.org. We're trying to check that particular CVE to see the severity rating for that particular vulnerability. It's taking time to load. I'm not sure why. It's still taking time, but while I allow it to load, I can just come to MITRE.org, MITRE, just to check the framework. MITRE.org, I want to believe is the site. So hit enter. Let's go to MITRE.org to check that particular CVE. I think my network is throttling a bit. Okay. Alright, so you can see for CVE, this was on cve.org, for instance. Let's see the information we got from cve.org. Trying to look at the severity. Trying to look at the severity ranking for this particular vulnerability. Let's see if it was stated here. Okay. TV record format information. Not seeing anything of use here. Okay. But anything that opens up a shell, of course you should know that it's nothing less than 9.0. Anything that opens up a shell, because shell is an access. Now I'm talking about backdoor. Alright, so I can't really see the severity here. It's not showing here, but not to worry. Okay, so now I would go back. Alright, so we're trying to look at the OpenSSH to see if it's vulnerable. Of course, OpenSSH 4.7 P1. Take note of the protocol. The protocol is what really matters here. Remember, port 22 is used to securely log in into a network remotely. So the protocol always matters, as well as the version, but the protocol to me. So let's come back here. Let's come back to our Google. I can go back from here. I'm surprised why on ExploitDB they didn't even put the severity for that particular for this particular vulnerability. I'm still in doubt why. But nonetheless, we'll progress. Let's progress. We get to see more later. Okay, so I'll just go back from this. Alright, so I will just quickly change this. Now we are trying to look at the port 22, and I will paste our guy OpenSSH, and I will search. Let's see if there's any vulnerability that is linked with this particular version 4.7.p1. Let's see. An issue was discovered. Okay, let me see the details. Also, very important is to take note of the resource where you are getting this information. It's very important, so that you don't get random informations online. Okay, so let's see what they have to say here. Okay, this even have a CVE score. Interesting. But let's see what they have to say about this. So in SSH, reading this now. Let's see. In SSH, before 9.6 OS, command injection might occur if a username or host name has shell meta characters, and this name is referenced by an expansion token in certain situations. For example, an untrusted Git repository can have a submodule with shell meta characters in the username or host. So you can read that up, and let me come down. Let me see. So we can see the CVE ratings here, 6.5 for the CVEs. You can see CVE 6.5. And what is this guy vulnerable to? From what I read here, it's vulnerable to command injection, meaning an attacker might inject a command, and the server will read it and will treat that particular command and execute it. Let's progress. So I'll come back to my terminal. There's really nothing much there. We'll come back again. Port 23 telnet. So you can see there's no, we couldn't get any version for telnet. Couldn't get any version for telnet. Port 25, which is for SMTP, we couldn't get any version number as well. I might want to progress further, but by progressing, I don't literally mean there's nothing we can do with that port, like we can't exploit that port. No, that's not my point now. Remember, we're trying to do vulnerability analysis. So port 23, which is telnet, it has its own exploit, of course. Also 25 for SMTP, you can do banner grabbing for 23 there, and so many things. Don't worry, when we come to exploitation, I will show you guys. But for now, let's stick to vulnerability analysis. So I'll move a little. Port 53. You can see ISC bind 9.4.2. I'll just copy this version, for instance. I'll come back to my browser. Let's see what we can do with this guy. Okay, come back to my browser. Alright, so I'll replace this version with this, and I'll hit enter. So, but security vulnerabilities, okay. Alright, so let's read through. Let's see. Remote DNS catch poisoning. Interesting. I love that vulnerability. Let me make my screen a little bolder. So, what's the vulnerability that is linked with this ISC bind 9.4.2 RC? Let's read through. And let's see. It has a CV score of 7.5. Okay, let's see. Let's see what's the vulnerability. I bind 9. Version is 9.4.2. Let's see the CV they're stating here. Let me see. I don't just want to read something random. Okay, the DNS message passing code. Okay, let me go back. Let me read. Let's use exploit DB. Again, remember I told you that your source matters, and I did make mention of some few trusted source that you can rely on their judgment. So for bind 9.4.1, it's vulnerable to remote DNS catch poisoning, right? So, and it can be exploited using Metasploit. Let's see a description for that. So this exploit targets a fairly ambiguous flaw in DNS implementation, which allows the insertion of which allows the insertion of malicious DNS records into the cache of the target name server. This exploit catches a single malicious name server entry into the target name server, which replaces the legitimate name servers for the target domain. By causing the target name server to query for random host name at the target domain, the attacker can spoof a response to the target server, including an answer for the query, an authority server record, and an additional record for that server, causing target name server to insert the additional record into the cache. This insertion completely replaces the original name server records for the target domain. So you can see what an attacker can do with this particular exploit, right? Of course, this is a remote DNS cache poison, meaning you can poison your request, and the server will read it and process it for you. So there are lots of things you can do. And you can see the severities as we saw in the last site when it was showing a severity rating of 7.5. But on exploit.db didn't actually put a severity here. But if we want to go further to dig this, just to go carry this CVE number. You can see the CVE here. We can look up the CVE on MITRE framework to see yes, on MITRE database to see the CVE rankings. Okay, so I will go back. So now you can see that this particular guy is vulnerable. So when we come to exploitation, we know what we are actually exploiting. So this is the whole essence of vulnerability analysis. All right, so let's continue. So let's continue. Let's continue. Okay, so port 80 is running on Apache HTTPD 2.2.8. so this is an Apache server here. So I will copy this, for instance, and I will come back again. So I will just replace this with my information. So vulnerability Apache HTTPD. So I will hit enter. So let's see if it is vulnerable. So you can see Apache HTTP server version 2.2.8. Let me scroll down. Let me see if we have anyone from Rapid7. Let me see if we have any information. Tenable is also a good place. Okay, let's see. Alright, let me come down. Acronetics.com, Apache.org, Volmon. Okay, so let's just there are a lot of vulnerabilities attached to this Apache web server. Okay, version 2.2.8. The Apache HTTP team is not aware of an exploit for the vulnerability, though it might. Okay, let me see the first. This is on cvedetails.com. Let's go there. Let's see. Let's see what information they have for this particular web server. So let's see. So there are lots of issues here with this Apache 2. Our version was 2.2.8, and you can see faulty input validation in core of Apache allows malicious to exploit back-end content generators to split HTTP response. This issue affects Apache HTTP server through 2.4.58. So you can see that even 2.4.58 is vulnerable to a particular kinds of attack. Then how much more version 2.2.8? So okay, let's see another vulnerability here. Out of boundary vulnerability in mode macro or of Apache HTTP server. This issue affects Apache HTTP server through 2.4.57. You can see, and this is even higher than our version. Our version is 2.2.8. So, mind you, if the updated version still have more vulnerabilities, then you should know that our version, which is not even updated, will be loaded with lots of vulnerabilities that we can exploit. So, prior to Apache, the next 2.4.55. A malicious backend can cause the response headers to be truncated early, resulting in some headers. Alright, let's see the one that has a high severity rating. Let's see, this has a severity rating of 9.8. Oh, I moved too fast. Alright, 9.8. So, Apache HTTP server 2.4.53 and earlier may not send the X forwarded headers to the origin server based on client-side connection header hop-by-hop mechanism. This may be used to bypass IP-based authentication on the origin server application. And you can see the severity here is 9.8. So let's scroll down again to another high severity. So on version 2.4.53, and earlier may crash or disclose information due to a read beyond bounds in AP SCRCMP match when provided with an extremely large input buffer. So, but overall, what I want to bring your attention to is our version is 2.2.8, and now you are seeing a higher version which is 2.4.53 vulnerable to all this. Then how much more our own version, meaning our version will be prone to all these vulnerabilities listed here, right? Because once there is a vulnerability, there is a findings, and then they can move for remediation and they will update the version. And now you are seeing an updated version with lots of vulnerabilities like this. Then you should know that all these vulnerabilities are present on that particular version that we have of Apache. Alright, so you know that this version of Apache is vulnerable. When we come to exploits, that's the point where we try to triangulate to which particular exploit to really focus on, seeing that the vulnerabilities are numerous on this. So let me come back to my terminal. So let's come back. Which other ports do we have here? RPC bind. This is the services that is running. This is the services that is running for the RPC. So let me come up. Okay, so there's no version found here. Alright, so for the 139 for the net BIOS, you can see Samba SMBD 3.x 4.x work group. So we have this Samba 3.0.2 Debian. You can see we can look up this particular version to see if it is vulnerable. So of course I will just copy this and I will come back to my browser and I will go back. Alright, so I can just replace from here directly and I will paste our version. Alright, so vulnerability SMBD, and I will hit enter. So let's see what information it has for us. So Samba username map script command execution. This is on Rapid 7. Interesting. So let's see what this particular vulnerability is prone to. You can also see on CV details. Let's see. Let me see from Rapid 7 first. So just quickly analyze this. Let's see. This module exploit a command execution vulnerability in Samba version 3.0.20. Alright, through this, when using the non-default username map script configuration option by specifying a user containing shell meta characters, attackers can execute arbitrary commands. No authentication is needed to exploit this vulnerability, since this option is used to map usernames prior to authentication. So you can see with this, an attacker now can execute arbitrary commands. So this is a serious vulnerability. This is a really serious vulnerability. So also you can see the modules how to exploit this is stated here using Metasploit. So this is what vulnerability analysis is all about. Alright, so I can proceed further now. Of course, you can see the CVE should be here somewhere. But just in case it's not here, you can look up other websites, other sites for more information regarding this. So this was on Rapid 7. So, but let's see for CVE details. Let's see what they have there. Okay. Let's see what they have for Rapid 7 for CVE details. A flaw was found in Samba. Okay, it is susceptible to a vulnerability where multiple incompatible RPC listeners can be initiated. Alright, so this is another vulnerability here again. Let's go for the one with a high CVE. Right, so this was 6.5. You can see the CVE at the top right here. Alright, let me find a higher CVE score. I think this was 7.5. All these vulnerabilities you see here are still linked with that particular version. So you can see it's even vulnerable to path traversal on 9.8 now. The severity, you can see the severity ranking 9.8. A path traversal vulnerability was identified in Samba when processing client pipe names connecting to Unix domain sockets within a private directory. Samba typically uses this mechanism to connect SMB clients to remote procedure called RPC. Services like SAMR, LSA, and spoofs, which Samba initiates on demand. However, alright, so you can see it's vulnerable to path traversal. You can see when it was published on 2023 and it got patched in updated 2024. But again, so there are just so much you you can do. This is why vulnerability analysis is very important. So you can see again another severity score high here of 9.0. This uses an extended file attribute EA to provide enhanced compatibility with Apple SMB clients and interoperability with NetaTalk and the likes. So you can just look up this and see what you can do with all this. So basically, this is what vulnerability analysis is all about. Let's look at one more scenarios. Then I'll call it a wrap. Let's see if we can see any juicy. Okay, port 2121 Pro FTPD. I think we've looked up this when we're doing file transfer. We're doing port 21. Okay, let me not bore us. Access denied. Let me see if there's any other one we could look out for. But mind you, when doing exploitation, we'll exploit all these ports, all the open ports. We'll exploit all the open ports. Very important for exploitation, except because you need to try all ports. You need to try all ports to know to see the vulnerabilities that are linked with all those ports, right? So but for your analysis as well, you can do for all. You can see another information here running on port 8180 Apache Tomcat. You can see Apache Tomcat. What can you do with this? You need to read up as well. You can see on port 8009, you can see Apache JSAF, and the protocol is version 1.3. You can go online and look up and do your vulnerability analysis to analyze what these guys are vulnerable to and what you can do. But let's see, for example, let me wrap it up with Apache Tomcat, for instance. Let's analyze this. I'll just quickly copy this and I will come back to my browser. That will initiate. Let's go back. Okay, one more. Okay, so I'll just replace Apache here, replace this completely with this. So Apache Tomcat Coyote GSP engine 1.1. Vulnerability attached to attempt to abuse the Tomcat server. Okay, let's see. I need a vulnerability around this. Okay, Rapid 7. Okay, let's check Rapid 7 what they have to say. Let's see what this guy is susceptible to. Okay, let's see what we have here on Rapid 7 Apache Tomcat Manager application. Deploy unauthenticated code execution. So you can see. Let's see the description. These modules can be used to execute a payload on Apache Tomcat servers that have an exposed manager application. The payload is uploaded as a WAR archive containing a JSP application using a put request. So they're just trying to explain what this does, but overall it aids an attacker the ability to deploy unauthenticated code execution. So an attacker can launch an unauthenticated code execution attack on this. So you can see it's even showing you the exploits as well. All right, so this is where we'll call it a wrap. I want to believe this was more than helpful. Of course, don't always forget, if you have any question, you have any confusion, do well to leave me a question on the comment section, and I will do justice to all your questions. See you all in my next video.